Well, let's continue our discussion of the options available to you when you are using the plant schedule tools. We've managed to generate a plant schedule. It's a block currently sitting on the right hand side of the design, and that can be incorporated into a layout sheet if required. Not everyone wants a plant schedule and identify things via a symbol. You might want to use one other tool here. Now that every symbol has been tagged, and remember we've got an option to show the symbols with names, so all of these symbols have been tagged. We do have an option which we've grandly called a Smart Plant Label tool, and you will need to look down here in the command line area for the prompts. The prompts are quite detailed. Select the symbol for adjacent copies of that symbol, or in fact you can just pick a single symbol, hit enter for the next step. So we're going to pick, let's say, this symbol here, and hit enter for the next step is the response. So we've selected it. We're going to hit enter now, and we're asked, do you want a label with a leader or a line? Leader being usually a label with an arrowhead, so we'll accept that, but you could have a single line if you wanted. Now the first point, we're asked to input the first point of the label leader, so we just mark the symbol and then pull away. And more prompts. Do you want to pick up the code? Remember, we entered a code for each symbol, and we'll say yes for the moment. Let's have the code. Do you want to pick up the botanical name? Not. We won't pick the common name, we just want a symbol. Do you want to pick the count? Well, that applies if I had picked a number of individual copies of that symbol. We'll say no for the moment, and we can hit right click to, we now hit enter for the next step, or right click to finish. So in our case we just right click. So the Smart Label tool has picked up the code, which was JUSAT for Juniperus sabina, and has popped the code in there, so we can label the plant in that way. But let's run that option again, that Smart Label command, and we'll do the same. So select the symbol, and we'll hit the enter key for the next step. Hit enter, and this time we'll also do a leader, so we'll hit enter. First point of the leader line will come out here, and do we want, I need to keep coming down here for you. Do you want to pick up the code? Yes, no. Let's say no, we just want the botanical name. So we'll say no. Botanical name, yes. Pick up the common name? No. Do you want to pick up a count? No. And in goes the label. So it does the same job as the original design from Dylan, and we typed that out as a piece of text, whereas now we have the same data kept in a leader. Well, to make it a little easier for you to see the prompts, I've moved the command line here and floated it, and I'd like now to try the same option with another variation. So here's the Smart Label tool, and the prompt says, let me widen it further, select the symbol or adjacent copy. So let's imagine we wanted to tag this one. It might be a group of 3 of a different species, and we hit enter. And do we want a label with a leader or a line? Well, both start with L, so I'm going to use the full line option. And the first point, we're going to label a group. So we come in here and there, and hit enter the label height. Now in this case we can just indicate a height. Let me zoom in even more so you can see that the cursor's moving around. So I want to have some text around about that height, or I could type a value in. And do we want to pick up the code? Yes, we do. Do we want the botanical name? No. And do we want the common name? No. Do you want to pick up the count? Yes, we do. And let's move this out of the way. So it's picked up. It's labelled things with just a line. Whoops. And it's broken out the piece of text separately in this instance. So 3 instances of the junipers here. We haven't linked them in any way, but that will operate reasonably well. One other thing at this stage worth mentioning is if we pick that earlier one and just say we're going to edit the contents, you can simply come in here and hit enter, and that label then drops down to give you a tighter layout. This is unlike the other one. This one's giving you a full leader that you can move around. So we can label our plants in that way, or use the plant schedule and someone just looks at the symbol. But we can also run a custom plant schedule, and let's do that to finish off. You may remember that I floated the command area and it stayed in the middle of an include plant symbol. It's in the middle of interacting with me. I want to put that back down into its normal position, and to do that, click in the middle of the command line area and then move across to this down arrow. That pushes it back in that lower area, in the default area, and I can now hit the escape key and get control. So I can go gCADPlus again, plant schedule and custom content. We'll say, do we want to include the symbol? Yes. Red circle markers? No. You can read up on that a little later. The type? No. Include the code? We'll say yes. Pot size? No. Include the botanical name? Yes. Common name? Yes. Print the one underneath the other? I'll say no. And the text type, remember we're running at 150, and here's our corner point. So we should get a similar one, but it'll just have some extra information where we now have the code there. So you can ring all the changes there in generating the plant schedule.